My name's Stephen Frampton, and I'm producing this video to give you a clear warning about the environmental conditions and risks now as we move towards and particularly through the middle days of June of this year, 2019. This whole year, we have a considerable risk of systems and structures disintegrating. If this relates particularly throughout the year and into 2020 with regard to governance, governments, the economy, big business, corporations, etc. But particularly to these sort of governing structures and bodies that we have in place around the world. They are at great risk of disintegrating or even in some cases collapsing as we move through the year. And I have some particular concerns about the middle days of June. I'll be talking to you through the details of that in a moment. Remember that the Romans spoke of many gods. They would say the god of war is angry. The gods were characterizations or personifications of the planets in our solar system. And it's extremely important that we accept the reality that we do operate within this system. And a system it is, all parts interrelated, all parts functioning together, sometimes harmoniously, sometimes discordantly. If for only once in your life you are able to completely put aside any bias you have in terms of this sort of information, I hope that it's now, because it could potentially help you avoid a challenge, a significant challenge in the middle of June if you listen on, okay? And I want you to know that regardless of your faith, of your culture, of your circumstances or background, the only reason I'm providing this video is out of love, hoping that this will serve as many people as possible. I have no other agenda than that. In actual fact, I don't really like producing videos. I don't really like to be public, but in this circumstance, I honestly feel that not putting some information out here, not putting a warning out there for you would be irresponsible of me, given the information that I have access to. So, let me be a little bit more specific. The full moon on the 16th of this month is quite an interesting full moon that seems to ignite problematic circumstances around the world potentially. And these are the circumstances or conditions that we'll be working with. So we want to understand them analytically so that we can be cautious and avoid any risks, all risks, these middle days of June. The risks are increasing from now, but they get considerably greater as we approach, or as we get into the middle days of the month. So the planet Pluto, taking 248 years to orbit the Sun, he's currently in the sign of Capricorn. He's been there for years. But one of the challenges we have this year of 2019 is that Saturn, who takes about 30 years to orbit the Sun, he's also at that same point. So this means that they are collaborating. Now, Saturn's in his own sign of Capricorn, which is a good thing because planets tend to be better, they function better or express their better characteristics and abilities and effects under a sign that they rule. But Saturn is still Saturn and Pluto is still Pluto, and we don't like them coming together to collaborate because it's trouble. Okay. Now, this is also occurring at a point in the zodiac called the south node of the moon, which is a particularly risky point in the zodiac or in the heavens. And the challenge we've got at the moment is that Mars, planet of conflict, aggression, accidents, illness, etc., he is in the sign Cancer. Well, he hates being in the sign Cancer. So he's extremely unhappy, and we have to be realistic and remember that Cancer is the sign of the homeland. So somebody is very angry at the loss of their homeland. And as Mars from the full moon gets into his exact and aggressive discordant opposition to Saturn, Pluto in the South Node, the risks are extreme around the world. Okay, so the full moon on the 16th of June is in the sign of the zodiac Sagittarius. This is the sign of religion, of enthusiasm, of adventure, of expansion, right? Of the sign of almost of us feeling bold, the sign of boldness potentially. But the planet that rules this sign, Jupiter, is in his own sign at the moment. That's a feature of 2019, and it's a good thing in many ways. But the problem we have is that the full moon, which is always discordant, it will translate the great enthusiasm of Sagittarius, of religious enthusiasm or potentially fanaticism. The moon will translate that then into Capricorn, into that particularly problematic and perilous point at which we have Saturn, Pluto and the South Node. The moon is moving into that point, and as Mars will be in opposition as well as we get to the middle of this month, and I'm especially concerned about the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, even the 20th a little. If everybody could just stay in bed those days and watch Netflix, that would be great. You want to avoid all risks those days. And I'm very concerned, as I said again, about the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, and even, as I said, a little the 20th of this month. The planet Mars moving through that configuration is an extremely problematic dynamic, and it could well trigger terrorism, conflict, aggression, etc., and even mishaps. So, it's not the day to climb a ladder. It's not really the day to be hanging around on the Champs-Élysées or anywhere risky. If you can avoid completely travel and anything that places you in any risk, those days, the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, and even the 20th, you will be doing yourself an enormous favour. And so please remember that those days are especially discordant and high risk. Knowledge is power. So you have this information I've provided you with. Use it to be powerful, to avoid problems, and to stay safe and sound and happy those middle days of June. And we can look forward to the later days of June as we move into the summer. But again, I felt that it was important that I send out this short warning, this communication relating to those middle days of June. All right, so let's all stay safe. Let's be empowered and in control so that we get the best outcomes.